Dubstock Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. He's Dalton Johnson. I'm Kerith, Burke. All right, we got to look at this box score because I see 4 20-point scores, 27 made threes from the Warriors, only 10 turnovers, and they also had 16 more field goal attempts. How many did they win by, Dalton?
Limited my vision, they lost by 10 points. It was wild, right? I mean, any day and age, any other time, any time in basketball history, that would be a win for the Warriors. But in today's modern age, and with Luca Donic just putting on an absolute superstar performance, it was a loss for the Warriors, a wild loss for the Warriors.
We got to consider their past couple days. They lost to the Rockets 91-90, okay? A much different flavor to that game. The Warriors had a day off, 2 days of practice. You could see they came in like, we can't turn the ball over in this game. No, the Mavericks are a very good opponent. Ahead of them in the standings as well. Only 10 turnovers. And all the other stuff that you saw in this box score, that looked really good for the Warriors. It just didn't add up for a win in a 143-133 game. This one was a shootout. And another clutch game where the Warriors couldn't get it done.
Yeah, what a difference in style one game makes. It felt like that game in Houston was a mid-90s wrestling match, boxing between two teams, you know, where it was all about defense. And then this game felt like it was a mid-90s Don Nelson-style game where it was just get up and score, try to outscore the other team. But again, Luca was great. The Dallas Mavericks team is a very well-rounded team, and there's a reason that they went to the NBA Finals last season. And yeah, I mean, it's just the start of the game. You could feel the way that the Mavs offense was going. They made their first 9 shots of the game, Kerith, and it just felt like, okay, when are the Warriors going to be able to catch up? Their only lead of the whole entire game was 3-2. After that, it was just so hard to play upstream like that, and they just couldn't catch the fish when it came to the Dallas Mavericks. Luca, Klay, Kyrie, they were just too much to handle tonight.
Yeah, a 46-point first quarter for the Mavericks. So the Warriors were playing at a tilt the whole game. And this Mavericks team is built so well to match up against the Warriors, to dominate the Warriors, frankly, if they're not careful. You know, I asked Draymond about this early. He said we didn't set the defensive tone, which is interesting because the Warriors are the 4th-ranked defense. Why do you think they got caught on their heels tonight?
Well, who is the tone setter? It's usually Draymond Green. He came off the bench tonight, and we understand Steve Kerr's reasoning, trying to figure out Draymond's minutes, how to preserve him the best way, how to get that second unit going. That was so great to start the season and has had some ups and downs since. So you just saw that, yeah, the tone wasn't there. Draymond said, where's the force? And that was the question. It just felt like Luca could do anything that he wanted to offensively, and then the way that he manipulates everybody with his eyes, that's where you were seeing some of the late rotations by the Warriors, just too many open shots by the Mavs tonight. So that was the big difference to me, was that it wasn't a ton of tough shots, a ton of contested shots, too many easy buckets by Luca Donic and this entire Mavs offense.
Yeah, the Mavs had 60% from the field in this game, and they had 21 threes of their own, so it's not like it was entirely lopsided, but yeah, they shot better than 51% from 3. Luca's getting involved. Klay's getting involved with 7. We'll talk about Klay's return in just a moment. But when you let your opponent shoot 60% from the field for the duration of the game, that's how you erase 27 threes. That's how you erase. I mean, they also got to the free throw line a lot more too. So it looked like they took advantage of what the Warriors gave them, even though the Warriors tried and tried and tried. I do feel like, I'll say a moral victory thing. It looked like the Warriors fought in this game, and there were several places where they got it to within 3 or got it to within 5. But then that unraveled. Yeah,
they did fight the entire game, and that's something that Steve Kerr continues to preach as the fight within this team. There's really been only one blowout game this entire season, and that was to the Cleveland Cavaliers, you know, during a tough stretch of the schedule, but they've been in so many games this season. And I asked Lindy Waters just the other day, you know, when you have that many games that are close, we talk about the clutch games over and over, but you lose those kind of games, is that a positive or a negative? And he's saying that the team is trying to look at it as a positive, knowing that they've been in so many games. Steve Kerr has said that he feels like they've given away at least 3 games. So I think they're trying to kind of balance the, okay, we're in all these games, but how do we find a way to come out on top of these games instead of now, I believe they're, 7-9 in clutch games? That just can't happen. So that's the frustrating part right now for these Warriors, is that they are in a whole lot of games, but they're seeing those games just kind of come unraveled at the toughest times for them.
So 16 clutch games this season. Their last 10 of 11 have been clutch games. So they're not in control of these. Maybe it shows a little bit of fight. Maybe it shows building big leads leads but not holding them. I think you have to, there's glass half full, glass half empty. I think these clutch games are half empty right now. There is something happening. We're going to talk about a change that the Warriors are making as well. That's later in the show. But what we're staring down is the fact that the Warriors are 2-8 in their last 10. And they can't get stuff done. And even in the beginning of this game, you could tell it was going to be a weird one looking at the stats at halftime. Luca nearly had a triple-double at halftime. He just got cooking early. But the Warriors stayed in the game with their threes. So 18 threes in the first half. That set a franchise record for the Warriors for most threes in a half. By the way, did you catch the last time that the record that they beat was 17?
When was that?
But it was October of 2018. Which was the Klay game in Chicago when he had 14 threes in the game. So I was like, okay, this is weird. Stuff is coming full circle right now. Klay is here right now, la, la, la. But even at halftime, the Mavericks were shooting 60%. Man, you know who helped them with their threes? Draymond Green.
He sure did.
What did you think about Draymond going off in this game?
I thought he shot great. I mean, really, his three-point shooting this entire season, his offense has been really great. And it's the fact that he's no hesitation with these three-pointers. He seems really comfortable. What was it, 3 three-pointers in the first quarter alone?
Yes.
His fourth in the first half is what gave him that record of 18 three-pointers in the first half. And he was fired up after that fourth one, letting the entire crowd know, letting the entire Dallas Mavericks know. So yeah, a very good overall game from Draymond Green. And now it's just kind of finding the balance of, okay, how do you set the tone early, and how do you also preserve Draymond Green the best ways as far as starting versus coming off the bench?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting concept and question that Steve Kerr is really trying to balance right now.
That question came up post-game. How did Draymond feel watching the Mavericks just come out of the gate pretty hot? Let's take a listen to Draymond at the podium.
Luca was obviously great tonight. It looked like he was talking quite a bit too. What's it like competing against Luca and also trying to stop him?
It's always fun competing against Luca. He's gonna mix it up with you. Luca, typical Serbian, give you the. He's not Serbian, but he's Slovenian. But they're all right there, and they kind of have this like nonchalant demeanor, where it's like, oh, you hit the tough shot, and talking only at times he get live, but most of the time it's like, and it's really cold from busting your ASS, but always fun competing against Luca when you get the opportunity to play with the greats, or play against the greats. You always want to see how you stack up, what you can do to stop them. So it's always fun competing against guys like Luca.
You guys have been pretty good most of the season on defense. What went wrong tonight? I mean, were you surprised to see them come out as hard as they did on offense, or was it them or you guys?
You got to give them credit. Like I said, they imposed their will, and I was not surprised that they came out with that attitude. But yeah, every guy that came in the game, they imposed their will.
And how hard is it to play uphill against a team with that many weapons?
It's nearly impossible. We were able to cut the lead there a few times. It kind of felt like we kept cutting it, but when you're playing against a great team that has so many options, they can somebody gonna score, and all it takes is one basket to stop the bleeding, and they go on their run. So you can't play uphill against a team like that.
A little different thing. Obviously, the previous losses have been a lot of trouble scoring at the end. Not this game, maybe, but obviously the acquisition of Schroder was meant to kind of answer that. What was your reaction to that, and how do you think he's going to fit with you guys?
I don't think he was necessarily brought here to fit. We play a certain style of basketball that he does not really play. And I don't think the goal is to get him to play the style of basketball that we play. We need someone that can do the things that he does. And so I'm looking forward to us adjusting to him. Not necessarily, he'll have to adjust to some things, and he's a pro. He understands that. But we have to adjust to him because he's bringing something that this team needs. And to just, to just think or make him fall in line of what we do, we wasting our time and even bring him here. Because we need somebody that can do what we necessarily don't do. And I think that's what he'll be for us.
Have you gotten to know him through the?
That was a very interesting answer about Schroder. Also, we have an entire Schroder segment coming up after the break, so we will get to that conversation. But there's just one more thing I want to touch on about Draymond, because kind of said, if you want to set a defensive tone, it's interesting that Draymond is coming off the bench right now. He's your best defensive player. Should he be there to set that tone? But just to check a few numbers, Draymond subbed in when the score was 22-11. So while he was on the floor, the Mavericks lead ballooned to 35-16. So in this game, didn't seem like it totally mattered that much. Was this just a fluke? Was this the Mavericks? Or do you think Draymond needs to go back in that starting lineup?
Well, I think as far as is it a fluke or is it the Mavericks, I think it's a little bit of both, right? I think the Mavericks played a really, really good game. They did impose their will, as Draymond said. But as far as needing him in the starting lineup, it's tough because Jonathan Kuminga is a 4. Draymond Green is a 4. He can play the 5, and that's more of the closing lineup, having JK at the 4, Draymond at the 5, because you don't want to play Draymond Green at the 5 for 30 minutes, right? So I think just roster construction-wise, that's where Steve Kerr's trying to figure this out. What is best for Steph Curry? What's best for Draymond Green? What's best for the team as a whole? So it's really hard to impose a will and impose force defensively without one of the greatest defensive players of all time on the bench to begin the game, especially like someone like Luca Donic who can get hot so quickly. So it is kind of both, and you're kind of trying to pick your poison, what fits best for the player and the team as a whole right now.
Yeah, also the matchups. Everything is just, there's so much that goes into these decisions, and I like how you put it. This is a roster construction issue right now, but it's equaling a conflict. This is going to be a season-long tension point, not between the players, not between Draymond and JK, but just what to do with these guys, how to put them both in the best situation. All right, so why don't we add another player to the recipe? Dennis Schroder coming to the Warriors when we come back on Dubstock Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. We're going to tell you his schedule. When can you see him play? And what did Steve Kerr say about Schroder pregame? All that's on the way when Dubstock rolls on.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for the year-end clearance sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
Howdy, folks. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Golden State scored 133 points, the second most points they've scored this season. Okay, usually that would be a recipe for a win. However, they allowed a season-high 143 points to Dallas.
There we
That's
go.
why. We also have, who just mentioned this in the chat? Oh, Andas mentioned 39 assists to 10 turnovers. That's usually a recipe for a win. There are just so many things on this box score that you're like, close your eyes, I'll tell you the numbers. How much did the Warriors win by? And that's not the case.
Right. And I mean, how about the fact that the Warriors scored 30 points off of the Mavericks' 16 turnovers? That usually a recipe for success.
The Rockets scored 30 points off of the Warriors' turnovers in the last game, a third of their points.
It's just a weird overall, trying to look at the box score, figure out the numbers, and go, how did this all happen?
I mean, defense, 60%. 60%. Yeah, the Mavericks didn't have to rely on the three, it felt like the Warriors did. They could score inside, they were scoring outside. Their size helped them in this game. They also won the rebounding battle. That is something that gave them an edge as well. And then Luca. So both times we were talking to Steve Kerr, we were talking to Draymond, asking questions about like, hey, what happened to your defense tonight? And both of those guys were like, Luca, Luca. And I don't think they were trying to kind of hide their defensive woes this evening. I think they were just, we ran into one of the best players in the league who had one of his best games of the season, arriving at a season-high 45 points.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to highlight, like, he is that good. And it's the fact that he only had 16 points to give me 4 against OKC's, which was wild to watch.
You could also, I just thought of this too, Andrew Wiggins was on the injury report tonight, so he has an adductor something. And when he's the primary defender, you don't want to say, well, Wiggins messed it up tonight. No, Luca is going to get his points. So I also feel like this is a little bit of like, let's not even... Welcome back to Dubstock Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. Dalton and Kerith here, and Dennis Schroder coming tomorrow. So the Warriors made a mid-December trade, which should be an indication for you about the urgency at which they needed a little bit of help in this one. Schroder's schedule is going to be arrive in town tomorrow, do his physical, get practice Tuesday and Wednesday with the team. Thursday, join the team for that Grizzlies game, TBD if he starts. What do you think about this addition, Schroder, to the Warriors?
I think it's exactly what they need. I think there's clearly a reason that they did not wait. There was no more waiting. We talked about a pregame as far as, look, just go back to the 3 weeks ago when the Nets were here in town, and it's like, oh yeah, that's what we need. 31 points overall, 10 of 18 shooting from Dennis Schroder in that game, but it's the fourth quarter. The fact that he scored 17 points against the Warriors in the fourth quarter in that Warriors loss, and just this season, he's shooting 43% from three-point range in the fourth quarter. Yes, the fourth quarter is about execution, being efficient down the stretch, and this is the most efficient that Dennis Schroder has been offensively, maybe in his entire 12-year career. But you need those kind of playmakers. You need those kind of shot creators. And that's why I really like the fact that Draymond said, you know, we're not going to try to make him fit us. We need to find ways to fit him, too. You need a little bit of that changeup. You need to have a little bit of a curveball when it comes to Dennis Schroder. Yeah, he's not that typical 0.5 Steve Kerr type of basketball. You look at some of those fourth quarter shots he made against the Warriors, a handful were at the buzzer. You need a playmaker. You need a shot creator. And Steph Curry, he's great. He's 36 years old, all of that. Andrew Wiggins, 29 points tonight. He's been great this season. Jonathan Kuminga can provide 20 points a night, but they're not the same kind of shot creators that Dennis Schroder is.
This sounds like it could be very good for the team or have some big moments of friction, actually.
No, he's not your typical Warrior, not at all.
Yeah, TBD. And as far as his fit here, I mean, he carved up the Warriors as a member of the Lakers in the playoffs. Steve Kerr remembered the FIBA championship where Schroder was the MVP. Also remembered Schroder playing in Germany for the Paris Olympics. So with all of that in mind, these pictures of who Dennis Schroder is, take a listen to Steve Kerr joking around pregame.
I'm thrilled. I mean, I told Dennis today he's kicked my ass on 3 different continents, and that's, you know, so I'm, you know, you can't beat him, join him. But, you know, 22 playoffs, I thought he was brilliant against us with the Lakers. Watching him in FIBA, you know, the last 2 summers, Philippines, and then, you know, we played them in London in an exhibition game. He's a gamer, he's a competitor, pick and roll player, two-way player. So you got to do what you got to do to get better. And this was a move that we felt like made perfect sense. And so he will fill what Melt was doing for us in terms of being able to play on or off the ball, excellent defender, long wingspan. He's a steals guy, forced turnovers, pace, everything that we need, we feel like he can provide.
I love that. 3 continents. Maybe the 4th continent can be an Antarctica game. Let's go to Steph Curry podium just so you can hear Steph's take on this 10-point loss.
Conversation of if anything is real or anything's worth, you know, having a serious conversation at that point. Involve me. I don't want to be distracted by what ifs and all that type of stuff. So it happened pretty quick, to be honest, and excited about the opportunity to play with a guy that you played against for a long time. He's a true competitor, can create, score, run an offense, or, you know, a whole lineup. So excited to see him plug in. You know, a guy I could probably play, you know, with in the backcourt, can handle a lot of ball handling responsibilities when I'm off the court, and gives us another, you know, guy that can attack a defense. And on the other side, he loves to compete, and he digs in on the defensive end too. So should be a seamless transition for him, and we'll see how it looks.
How much do you feel like you need it? I mean, Steve's talking, basically feeling like, you know, you kind of need a secondary creator out there. I mean, do you feel like this is, you know, can really help you?
For sure. It can help me, it can help us. What helps me helps us in the sense of, like I said, if I'm on the court or not, I know I can play off the ball, and you want a guy that can be comfortable with the ball in his hands, see the floor, make the right reads, take advantage of defenses if, you know, they want to pay attention elsewhere. when I'm off the floor, like I said, a guy that can run an offense. You can play pick and roll with him. He's pretty sound with the ball, and you've seen the way he's scoring this year too. So it gives us definitely another threat, and I'm sure he'll build chemistry with everybody else as well. Wiggs, J.K., Draymond, maybe even Trace in pick and roll type situations. So it should give us another dynamic scorer ball handler that will help all of us.
Draymond was talking about how he's really looking forward to adjusting to Dennis, not vice versa, not him adjusting to you guys. I think he meant like stylistically. What do you think he meant by that?
I don't know what he meant by it. I just feel like, you have an idea that he's a guy that has played pick and roll, and you got to pay attention to him. He knows when to take his shots. He knows when to drive. He sees the floor really well. And in the sense of how we play, moving the ball, like I'm sure that type of basketball he can adjust to, but you have to cater to. It's what we've been talking about all year, trying to cater to the strengths of what this team is. There's a lot of experimenting that's been going on with us, and it'll be even more with Dennis in the sense of how he can kind of shift the geometry on the offensive end, and whether like certain spurts you can just go run through him, pick and roll, and pick your poison with shooters around type vibe. So we got to ask him what he's comfortable with. He's got to understand our go-tos, and trades are tough in the season because you got to pick it up on the fly. So we got to be able to do that.
Steph, 2 questions. Have you interacted much with Dennis aside from playing against him? Do you have any sense for what he's like as a person?
No, I never hung out with him off the court much, but inside the lines, I talked to him. I just love his competitive nature. Like he got that dog in him, and you can kind of tell he doesn't talk that much, but he's very animated, and I've never not seen him in the moment, like trying to rip your head off type vibe. So I like that.
And unrelated,
All right, very interesting from Steph there talking about how Schroder fits her. Because listen, Steph is the sun. Everything revolves around him. But they sometimes need a guy who's going to go get a bucket. So it doesn't have to be Steph all the time. They want Schroder to be a little bit of a, give it to me, I'll take it. I'm not going to say ball hog, but aggressive. That's what they're looking for.
I think he has that swagger that this team is kind of trying to invite, that a Steph Curry, that a Draymond Green loves. I love the fact that he just said he's a guy that wants to rip your head off. That's Dennis Schroder. He's not so much known for, oh my gosh, so much trash talk, but you always see him in the mix of things. I mean, we can go back to that Lakers-Warriors playoff series a couple of years ago, him and Draymond Green. They got into a little bit. Dennis Schroder posted about that on Instagram after the series, and Draymond responded saying, like, go get it, that he flipped the entire series. And you saw the way that once Dennis Schroder had a bigger role in that series, things did change in the Lakers' favor. You need someone that's going to go, okay, it's getting a little stagnant here. You got 2 guys trying to blitz Steph Curry. Give me the ball and let me get a bucket and get us going. Try to help him. Get guys off of him a little bit. Because, yeah, of course, Steph Curry is always going to be the focal point. But for someone else to have the confidence to say, no, it's my turn, I'm going to help you out, by letting it be my turn, that's what I think you're going to get out of Dennis Schroder offensively.
All right, we're going to button this up because there's one more guy we need to talk about tonight. And when we come back on Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World, it's Klay Thompson. This Klay day had a different feel as he and the Mavs leave with the W. Hey.
I keep saying Schroder. I got to remember Schroder. Schroder the shooter. Schroder the Schroder.
We're going to mess that. Schroder
I know that.
the shooter.
Schroder the shooter.
The kangaroo. The kangarooter. Okay. Yes. Rochelle, remind me. I have something that I want to ask you about after the show. And let's see. Okay. We were looking up how many teams Schroder has been on in his 12-year career. How many?
This will be his 8th team in his 12-year career.
Some of that was believing in himself. Remember, he didn't take the huge deal from the Lakers. Looks
take the deal.
Maybe,
Kids, take the money.
maybe regrettable now. But I like a guy who tries to bet on himself. I just think this is an example of one that just didn't go.
It just didn't pan out.
Yeah,
it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But he's not short of confidence. He's just not.
And that's cool. I kind of like guys like that. I think it is interesting that the international players, like Mark Spears did a story with Schroder at the Olympics, and he was talking about how FIBA basketball players, Schroder feels, are just built different. You could just straight up yell at them. And, and I was like, okay, I don't want anybody to get yelled at, but Schroder seems like a tough cookie, and maybe the Warriors can use a little of that.
I think they can definitely use a little bit of that, you know, and just kind of what Steph said as far as the experimentation. You know, they are kind of just a chemistry right now. They're trying to figure out, okay, is it going to combust, or is this going to be the right equation and find the right chemistry within themselves? So sometimes you need a little bit of an outlier to make the chemistry work correctly.
Well, some of this is like a let's try this for a couple months. We got you in early enough. What happens if something else happens at the trade deadline? More pieces come, or Schroder leaves, or TBD. But they have some room to play with this and try. Welcome back to Dubstock Live. Let's take a look at the Warriors' schedule, because what you're going to see here the next 3 days will be the longest break for the Warriors until the All-Star break. And then you can see when they play again Thursday against the Grizzlies. We've got games again every other day, and they end the year on a back-to-back. It's going to get tough. All right, speaking of tough, hi Klay Thompson, nice to see you. 7 3-pointers in this game. Klay started to feel himself, and you noticed about the games when he comes to Chase Center.
Oh, he sure enjoys playing here at Chase Center. I mean, 13 big-time points in that fourth quarter. That three-pointer that put him up by 12. I mean, he was jumping up and down, looking at the crowd, letting them know he is still that guy. 29 points. There's a reason. Look at that. That is Klay Thompson saying, I am this guy. I am still that Splash brother. Do not forget about me. There is no coincidence that his 2 best games this season have been against the Warriors. 22 points, 29 points. He came into this night averaging just 13 points in the per game this season. 13 points in the fourth quarter against the Warriors. So this meant a lot to Klay Thompson. Simple as that.
This had a different feel than the first Klay game. There were, you know, the employees lining the entrance. Everybody had the Klay hats. That's what they had to do for him. This game, we didn't even know if this game was going to be on the schedule, because there was a chance the Warriors could make it to Vegas. So, yeah, this one had no fanfare, and I actually think it suited Klay a lot better.
Yeah, there were more Santa hats than captain's hats in the stands. Simply there was, right? I was trying to count them. But I think that was the best thing for Klay Thompson. Just let me come in here, let me play basketball, and then we'll see what happens on the court. You know, no more hoopla, just let me hoop.
Wow. Bars? No more hoopla, just let me hoop. Impressive stuff. Impressive. All right, so congratulations to Klay Thompson. I think when he went to the free throw line, I heard a smattering of boos, which I never thought I would hear in my life.
Don't do
All
that,
right,
man.
the
Don't
Mavericks
do that,
go. All right. Thank you guys for watching Dubstock. We'll be back soon. To Chase. You know, we were talking about this, like, the first Klay game had to go down like that. It had to be like, we love you, we thank you. That's what he deserves.
It was right.
Because consider the opposite. If they didn't do something like that, that would have looked really
bad.
weird.
There's been some bad ramifications from that.
Weird. Yes. And then from Klay's perspective, like, he can't be really effusive with his thank you, I loved my time here, I love the Warriors, because he plays for a different team. And his teammates are going to wonder, where are you emotionally? Are you still with Golden State, where you played for 13 seasons, or are you with us now? So Klay did kind of have to keep it bottled up that first Klay game. This one, he didn't have to bottle junk, and like he got to, you know, we saw the video at the end where he got to shoot a shot in a few ways.
Yeah, no, I remember even like hours before the game when I'm arriving, and you see just like one camera waiting for him, not 400 employees waiting for him, you know, and I'm thinking like, this is exactly what Klay wants. He is naturally an introvert. He didn't want all the people lining up before the game the first time, but again, it needed to happen. He deserved it. He tried to go into that first game acting like it was no big deal. Then you did see a little bit of the emotions. It did mean a lot to him. No matter what he says, he knows, that meant a lot to me. And now I just want to play basketball. And but the fact that he went out and had the fourth quarter that he had, that did mean a lot to him. I mean, you can't deny it. We saw the emotions come out.
Yeah,
from him.
Klay was appreciative of the first Klay night. I think this was a game where he was very happy to just let his shooting do the talking, like usual. All right, salute Captain Klay. You guys get the W. Nice to see you again. All right, nice to see you too. Thank you everybody for watching on TV. Thanks for everybody for watching on YouTube around the world, and we will see you again soon.